That was one of the difficult times in my life. Like, my mom hated me. I had taken all her life savings and I had destroyed them.
The upside of failure. And today we are speaking to a ceiling breaker, one of South Africa's very first black female VFX specialists. She goes by the name of Nono Mofokeng. We take your calls with your questions, 011 883 0702 and the WhatsApp line 072 702 1702. Welcome to the show. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So those that are not in the industry, what is VFX? So we can translate.
So VFX simply means visual effects. So in the visual effects industry, we love using acronyms. We don't use full words all the time.
And I don't know why we do it, because there's also SFX, there is FMX, there are all of those things. But for the purposes of explaining exactly what your job is, what is it in full?
Okay, so visual effects, in the quickest way I can explain it, is all the stuff that is impossible to do in camera when you are shooting a movie or a TV series. We would do them in post in visual effects.
Yes.
So a lot of times I just group it together with animation and just say, think animation if you want to think visual effects. But if you're thinking visual effects, you can think of Spider-Man.
Yes.
I mean, a human cannot fly, so we would need visual effects in order to make that person to be able to fly.
Yes.
Yes, so that's what visual effects is making the impossible possible on camera.
And I think if even to maybe take it to a greater level, if you ever have watched a movie's EPK or a behind the scenes, the things that get shot on a green screen, or when an actor is playing a character like a golem and it needs to be recreated, when she refers to post-production. Post-production means after you have shot, in essence. Everything that you now take the footage and you need to bring it to life. That's what we're referring to. But because we're simplifying it, I want to tell you how great it is that there are scenes in movies where there were only 400 actors, but when you watch the film, there were 10,000 in a war scene. Absolutely. You can recreate an entire world that does not exist. Yes. So films like Inception, where you bend, in inverted commas, reality. And you can have a man play Gollum, or you can see somebody being a giant in whatever series. So that is what you do, which I sometimes think animation almost simplifies it.
Yes.
That we don't get to really understand the magnitude. Now, share with us, so that we have the context, why is it a big deal that you're one of the first black and female, it being a male-dominated and still quite a very white, if we call it that, industry? Share with us so we still understand that it's not that fully open yet.
Absolutely. It's not fully open, and you've already touched on that. So it's an industry that's very much white, and then it's also an industry that's very much male-dominated. So not only is it that there are not a lot of women in it, there's also not a lot of people of color in the industry. But I have to say that, it has gotten better. At the time that I started, I would be in a room and I would be the only black person. So now I'm starting to see the change. I'm starting to see where I'm on a project and I'm starting to see about 6 black people. Yeah. And I'm like, yay, we are going somewhere. So obviously there are strides that have been made in the industry to open it up and to have inclusion in it. And being called the first is so weird for me. I actually don't want to be called the first, because it carries so much... there's so much responsibility with it. And then also I understand that there's humility with it. And I don't want to be the first, because I didn't set out to be the first. I just wanted to do what I love. It just happened that when I did it, then I become the first in almost everything that I'm doing. Yes. And I don't want to be the last. I definitely want to open it up. I want to see a lot of people that look like me. I want to see a lot of young black girls or women working in the same industry as me.
Please remind us why that representation is important, particularly in the space you're working in, because I feel like there is a different perspective that comes with being a person of color, a different perspective that comes with being a woman. But maybe you can share from the visual effects perspective why that extra perspective is needed.
Oh, representation matters so much. I can remember a lot of times when I wanted to give up, and I would think about, Black women that are pioneers, and I would be like, yes, I too can do it. If that person can do it, I can do it. I would think about, I think, what was it? Ooh, why am I forgetting? Vampire Diaries. I think there was only one Black girl in Vampire Diaries.
Yeah.
And every time I wanted to give up, I would think about her. I would ask myself, how did she feel being in that space? How was that space like for her? And she conquered. She worked in that space until the show was done. She stuck through with that show. And I was like, if she can do it, I can definitely do it. And if you read on her story, behind the scenes, there was a lot of adversity that she actually did face being in Vampire Diaries, as an actor, as the only Black actor in Vampire Diaries. And I was like, if she can do it, of course I can do it. So representation matters, because when somebody sees somebody that looks like me doing what I do, they can be like, oh, I didn't think that was attainable, but actually it is attainable. So I really want to bring a lot of young Black girls into the industry, and I want them to know that it's possible. You can definitely do it. And for me, the challenge with VFX is that a lot of people don't know about it. A lot of people don't understand VFX. And those who know a little bit about it don't even understand what I do. So I'm a VFX producer. I don't animate. I'm not an artist. In the industry, we've got artists and we've got producers, which I would say we project managers.
Yes.
So I get confused all the time. I will say I'm a VFX producer and somebody will still call me an animator, which is a different profession within our industry. So I am looking to open up the industry, make people understand the industry, and hopefully I can see more Black people entering the industry, more Black young people understanding that it's actually attainable. And we're very afraid of VFX because we think, one, it's very expensive. You have to go to an expensive animation school. You need to have all the expensive tools. I mean, that is true, but then you don't always have to take that route or that path, because I've seen people who are actually self-taught in the VFX industry and who are doing really well and are great.
When we come back, guys, she has worked on Snow White, as in the Disney 2025 Snow White. She has worked on Aquaman 2 as well, and that's just naming a few. We continue with The Upside of Failure when we come back.
702. The Upside of Failure.
22 minutes after 2 o'clock, The Upside of Failure. We're in conversation with Nono Mofokeng, who is a VFX specialist, or a visual effects specialist as a non-industry term, and she has worked on some major international productions. 011 883 0702 and the WhatsApp line 072 702 1702. You have been in this game now for almost 20 years.
Yes.
20, it's a while, right?
It's a long time.
It's a long time. Now, when you started out, did you fall into the space by accident, or were you very clear, like, that you knew what space you wanted to get into?
You know what? I think it's manifestation. I'm such a big believer. I'm now understanding manifestation, but I think that's exactly what it was. When I was a kid, I watched a lot of TV. Too much TV that I shouldn't have watched, I think. But I watched a lot of animation. I loved Snoopy the dog. I loved Casper the Friendly Ghost. I loved Little Mermaid. And I used to watch a lot of action movies and horror. I wasn't scared at the time. Now I can't watch horror anymore. So
isn't that wild?
I know.
Wait, when did you stop watching horror?
I think in my 20s, like late 20s maybe.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I can't. It scares me. I don't even understand
Even
it.
though you know that it's fake.
I cannot watch movies with a lot of violence, even though I know it's VFX.
Yes.
I mean, I don't understand it myself. I'm like, but when I work on a project, it's fine. I can watch, because when you do VFX, you watch those things over and over and over and over. You get to see the gory stuff over and over and over again until the
If
film is
anything,
finished.
you're the one who's like sitting there saying, yeah, we need to add more blood.
Exactly.
Because it doesn't look the amount.
real.
Yes, it
Yes.
doesn't look real.
Or
Now
take
you-
it back.
But if it's not your project,
Yeah, if it's just another, I can't. Even though I know it's real, I think, but that's beautiful because that means that I still have that innocence when I'm watching art, when I'm
Yes.
consuming art, because I still take it in as real. I don't watch movies as a professional. That's something that I do. I make sure that I watch them as a person that's taking in art, not looking at it and be like, oh, this is how they made that. This is how, when I'm done, when I've taken in the art, then afterwards I can be like, oh, I wonder how they did that. Then I'll go back and analyze it. But I just take it
you
as
must
it is.
teach me
first.
your ways. Because I see the continuity mistakes. I'm like, how the watch was on the left hand. What
No.
happened?
Not at first. I have to go back.
And then you check.
Yes.
So you were saying you were watching all these cartoons, you were watching horror, and what about it was fascinating to you?
So I started watching the credits, and as I was watching the credits, I would see all these names come up. And then one in particular was the producer, because I didn't understand what a producer was, because I could understand what cameraman does,
Yes.
what the other people are doing, but then I didn't understand what is a producer. So I asked my mom at the time, and I was very young, and I was like, what is a producer? And then my mom, in a way that she understood it, she explained it to me that ke modiragatsi, which is somebody who makes movies and films. And I was like, oh, I want to be that person. I want to be the person that does that. So from an young age, I was like, that's what I want to do. I'm going to be a producer. But I didn't even fully understand it. So I started writing my own shows. I started writing my own movies. I started playing with dolls, and I would like write stories with a doll. And that's how I was doing it. And then when I finished matric, I was going to become an accountant, simply because the school that I went to was a commercial school.
Yes.
And they wanted to produce as many CAs as possible in South Africa. And my deputy school manager was very inspiring and very motivational. I was like, Wanage, you are so good with accounting. You're going to become a great accountant. I have a distinction in accounting. So I went to UJ.
And you look like an accountant.
Oh,
Only that
thank you.
vibe. We'll see
I am good with money.
Accountant.
I am good with money. So then I went to UJ. I think the time I applied it was RAU, and then it got changed to become UJ to do BCom accounting. 6 months in, I was so unhappy, and I realized this is not what I want to do. So I went and I told my mom that I'm quitting because I want to go do film. I want to go make movies.
What did your mom say?
She was livid. That was one of the difficult times in my life. Like, my mom hated me. I had taken all her life savings and I had destroyed them. Mom is a single parent, so she saved all her life for me to be able to go to uni. And now I'm telling her I'm not even going to go to uni. What's going to happen? And now she doesn't have money for me to go to film school anyway. So I said to her, you don't have to worry about it. I'll figure it out. And I was like, I'm going to buy you a house and a car. You'll see. So I had to figure it out. And that was my starting journey. So what happened was, one day I was listening to DJ Spoo. I think it was still YFM at the time, in the afternoon. And there were these kids that were there. These young
Wylands.
people.
Nesse Wylands.
Yes.
Yes.
And there were these young people that were there that were talking about Vega, the school, and that they are creative. And I was like, that's me. I'm creative. And they're like, they are writers. I'm like, I write. I want to be a playwright.
Yes.
I want to be a screenwriter. So I called in. I had a green camphor cream, and I had saved like 50 cents and 10 cents in there. We still had the telecom phone.
Yes.
I went to the spaza shop and at the corner, and I put in all my coins, and I called Vega that I heard you guys are looking for creative people, and I'm creative. And I couldn't even get through because I didn't find the person. So they told me the person is on lunch. I had to come back. So I went back again with my camphor cream container with
Also
my
known
coins.
as piggy bank.
Yes, and you know how the telecom phone used to work, because you had to put in the coins, and then the coin would fill, so you'd hear the toot 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 sound, and then
Yes.
you had to throw the coins in. Fast forward to the story, then they called me in for entrance, and I went in. They did like some entrance challenge to test and gauge how creative we were. And then there was the second round interviews, and then I got in. Halfway through the program, I realized, no, man, this is copywriting. It's advertising.
Wait, so when you went in,
Yeah.
what happened to the part about school fees, or was it a bursary?
It's a scholarship.
Okay.
It was actually a learnership.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you get there, you start, and only halfway you're like, hey man.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So I'm waiting for the part where we start writing. I'm patient with this thing. I'm working through it. It's advertising and design, but I don't realize that it's advertising and design because we're doing, Photoshop, we're doing InDesign, we're doing Illustrator. I'm doing all of these things. And then I'm like, I'm powering through. I'm doing great, but I know that the goal is to become a producer. So I think about June or July, somewhere, I'm like, nah, man, this thing is not getting there. And this thing is copywriting. So then I asked them that, when do we start writing scripts? They're like, we're doing that. I'm like, yeah, no, but this is not a script. This is 30 seconds. This is 10 seconds. I'm looking to write a film.
You're learning to write 30-second adverts, basically.
Yes. It's an advertising school.
How did you not know, if I may ask? Like, is it how they explained it, or are you like, you know what, I actually didn't read what this thing really is about? And keeping in mind, ChatGPT and Google like that back then.
No, we didn't even have GPS. I used to use the map book.
Yep.
I remember when I started driving. Well, because when they were on the radio show, they spoke about their writing and their writers. They didn't say they're copywriters. Okay.
It's funny, but it's not funny because it's amazing how, and this is why your career days are so important.
Yeah.
Being a good writer, there are so many things that you can write. You could be a person that writes articles. You could be a person that writes advertorials. You could be a person that writes editorials, that copyrights, which is how do you get as much information into a 30-second advert. And there's the one which you wanted to do. But what we're going to do, we're going to take a pause from the story.
Okay.
And when we come back, we're going to continue with the upside of failure. It's 2:30, time for your latest Eyewitness News headlines. Good afternoon.
702. The upside of failure.
10 minutes to 3 o'clock. We continue with the upside of failure as we chat to Nono Mofokeng, who is a visual effects specialist who has been working in Hollywood and sharing her journey of how she got to dream watching The Little Mermaid and then got to work on The Little Mermaid. I'm talking The Little Mermaid. 011 8830702, the WhatsApp line 0727021702. I have to read a message before we continue. No. This is from Dr. Philemon Mahuma, who says, as I listen to Nono Mofokeng, these words come to mind. Authentic, grit, resilience, patience, pioneer, trail setter. Well done.
Oh, thank you so much.
In terms of all those rejection letters, how did you keep going? Because I love the part you're sharing of like it was 10 years. We know the employment crisis we're dealing with, or unemployment crisis. It's actually both sides, right?
Yeah.
We also know of people who are hustling entrepreneurship. We also know of people that are sitting in jobs that do not speak to their souls. They are paying their bills, but they are absolutely miserable, living with dreams that are feeling unfulfilled. How are you able to get through all those rejection letters? Because hearing your story, it almost feels like the moment you surrendered it, it came. And it's a hard thing to say. You can't say to somebody, let it go, it will be yours. When it's your time.
Yeah.
While a person's like, bruh, my kids need to eat. Share the real thing of how you got yourself through, because we're looking at you today, but we didn't see the times you were crying. We didn't see the times where you're like, I'm not going to open my laptop. I'm over it.
Yeah. Well, my story is a little bit different because even though I was applying in the 10 years, I was still working in South Africa in VFX. I just wanted more for myself. So when I was working at the time, I was working mainly in commercials. So it was not a lot of features.
You were back there where Vega put you.
Listen,
I love the irony.
you haven't heard what happened from Vega.
Oh my gosh.
After that documentary that I did, which Vega was so amazing because they gave me a break to go work on the documentary and come back and catch up with my schoolwork.
Yes.
And then when I came back, then there was an internship. Then they placed me in an internship at the Video Lab, which was a post-production facility, one of its kind in Africa. And guess what I was doing? Commercials. I was a producer trainee for commercials.
God was like, you don't know me.
Yeah. I was like, this advertising thing, what is it with it? And now it's commercials and it's post-production. It's not even lights, camera, action. So I'm like, I'm sitting there and I'm like, man, I don't want to do this. I want to be in production. I want to be there by Tswelopele
Like the
Productions.
action.
I want that. I don't want this. I want to be making the movies, the TV shows and everything. And then as I was there, I find out that there is an animation studio in the building. And while I was at Vega, what happened was that there was a little short story that we had to do with stop frame animation. And I was intrigued. A spark was lit in me. So now I was like, I now remembered, I was like, I really had so much fun when I was doing the stop frame animation. And I realized that that's what I want to do. So I went to the animation studio and I asked them for a job. And they did offer me a job as a producer trainee, and that's how I started in VFX and animation. So it was an animation studio, and they were doing animation and they were doing VFX. And most of the work was commercials. They didn't set out to do the studio because they wanted to do commercials, but because commercials are our bread and butter in South Africa.
They pay the bills.
They pay the bills because, especially in the time that I was doing it, we didn't have a lot of shows that were using VFX. So you had to do commercials. So that's what I was doing. I was again back in commercials. Advertising was like what I was doing. So that's why I kept applying for years and years, because I knew where I wanted to go. I wanted to be in I wanted to do shows, and I was watching a lot of VFX shows, and I was like, I want to do that. I want to be that person. Oh, look at that title. That's what I want.
But you know what I love about something you said? You wanted to clarify that in the 10 years, it's not that you weren't working, right?
Yes.
But the critical thing you said, so that we don't downplay the part of, like, the job is one part.
Yes.
But you said, I wanted more. And I think many people are in that situation where we want to dismiss wanting more because you're like, hey, at least I've got a job, or at least I am okay, others or not. I love that you wanted more, so much more that you ended up working on projects like Aquaman 2, The Witcher, Prehistoric Planet, Snow White. You did all of that fantastic work. How and why did you find yourself coming back to South Africa after being in London?
Okay, so there was a global crisis where there was not enough work for us VFX professionals. So I needed a visa to work. So the first people that you cut is the people that need visa sponsorships.
Yes.
So I had to make a decision. Do I stick around in a very expensive place and try to find my way there and keep hoping that, I'm going to find another opportunity, or do I go back home? And I was like, you know what, actually, I want to go back home. I think it's time for me to go back home. My skills and expertise are needed at home, and that's where I want to be at.
What is the biggest lesson you've learned about failure, where you have gone through so much? You obviously have had your highs and lows that, an hour-long conversation would never cover. But what is the biggest lesson you learned?
Oh, there are so many lessons in life. One of the lessons is not leaving soon enough. So, don't stay in situations don't stay past your expiration date. Leave as soon as the space is no longer conducive for you. Leave that space, because the results and the effects of you staying too long, they're always heavier than the fear of leaving. So don't stay where you are not celebrated. Don't stay where you are not supposed to be. That was the biggest lesson. And I know you asked me the question about people who are not happy in where they are at. If you are able to leave in a space that you are not happy, please leave, because your happiness might just be outside there, but you don't know because you're sitting there in fear, afraid of the what if. My what if was, what if I apply for this job? What if I go down to that animation studio and ask them if they're looking for people, because I want to work in animation. So that is the what if. So never be afraid of the what if, and just, press that button on the what if.
Congratulations. You've done so well.
Thank you.
I am so inspired by our conversation. Please keep sharing your beautiful story.